My name is Manuel Rabaté. I'm the director of Louvre Abu Dhabi. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be part of the Cultural Summit 2021. Congratulations to the organizer and to my fellow participants to be able to join from all over the world through the digital media. I will share my screen and give you some insight on what is the fantastic case study that I will be presenting today, which is, as His Excellency Mohamed Al-Mubarak, the chairman of DCT, proposed, we are here to share a cultural connectedness with the world. So I will try to share a case study of Louvre Abu Dhabi through the COVID period. And I will try to share a story of resilience, of agility, and I hope of sustainability. Louvre Abu Dhabi, you know us. We are this very new and already important museum, which took 10 years to develop from the inception in 2007 up to its opening at the end of 2017, which was launching to the world, a gift to the world, a gift from Abu Dhabi to the world of this first universal museum of the Arab world. Louvre Abu Dhabi is a museum telling the connected history of humanity through art. And I used to say that we have built 4 important pillars. The first one being the architecture, the iconic building made by Jean Nouvel, invented by Jean Nouvel. The second pillar being the special narrative. The third pillar being a great team, and I will come back to that. And the fourth pillar being welcoming visitors from all over the world. And that may be one of the starting points when the COVID crisis struck us. We had a split in Louvre Abu Dhabi, which is over 70% of tourists and 30% of residents. Our main visitors were coming from China, from India. We had a fantastic Emirati segment there was the first repetitors. We had European visitors waiting something like 30% of the overall audience. And last not least, the education mission was absolutely paramount. And every day we would welcome between 20 to 25 school groups into the museum. We were very proud at the second anniversary to be able to, do you see my screen? Am I on the right? I'm sorry, I need just to make sure. Am I sharing the right thing? Maybe I was talking without, sorry. That's a typical 2020 issue that is still valid in 21. So I hope you can now enjoy my screen, except I have a little bit of an issue. Sorry. Reshare. We got very used to this kind of technique. Huh? Sorry. I have a little bit of an issue, which I'm going to fix right now. Okay. Sorry for that. And let's get back to the show. Would you believe we would be used to to do that easily? So as I was telling, we were proud to reach 2 million visitors just at our second anniversary, and January 2020 was sounding astonishing. We were beyond 20% our target for the given month, and then the crisis hits. And this slide is a slide a sad slide is actually about the closure. When the virus became a reality, we created an internal SWAT team, a task force to prepare and to see how to protect our visitors, how to mitigate the risk which was becoming unreal. And we started by having, let's say, risk analysis in order to see how we could keep the museum open in full security, but we didn't know enough on the museum. And on the 15th of March, in coordination with the authorities of Abu Dhabi and, of course, all the cultural institutions of our ecosystem, we had to close the museum, which was very, very, very painful. We kept the museum closed from the 16th of March up to the 23rd of June, which is exactly 100 days. And as soon as we had closed the museum, as soon as we had protected our visitors from the potential risk a place of interaction was representing, we knew that we needed also to protect our people, our staff. I remember a very quick and decisive phone call with Saud Al-Hosani, the Undersecretary of the Department of Culture and Tourism, giving me the green light to move fully remote the team. So overnight, technologically, we were able in 2-3 days to install almost all the team in remote work mode, and to focus only a very, very small and limited team that would stay on the ground to protect the assets, the building, and the artworks. But I have to say, this moment was a moment of real sadness, and we had a very beautiful expression by the director of the Museum of Black Civilization in Dakar, Hamadi Bokoum, which I really love. He said, during the closure, the objects were sad. And I think this is something which was absolutely universal. The objects were sad, but they needed some kind of care. Why is it not? Sorry, again. The object was sad, but they needed some attention. And this is what our team was doing every day. So we had a team which stayed permanently for the security and the maintenance of the building, but we also had the collection management being on site and checking on the artworks all the time. And I think this is where also we felt the solidarity with our fellow museum friends and colleagues. And I have to salute all the lenders who entrusted us with their artworks that we kept safe during the crisis, during the closure. And of course, the regional museums, the Museum of the UAE, but also our French partner and French lenders. And Jean-Luc Martinez, the president of the Louvre, was the first one to make sure that the trust in Louvre Abu Dhabi team was there, and that we would just communicate on how the artworks were coping with the absence of visitors. And of course, they were absolutely fine. The closure was this sad moment, but we also have been preparing a lot for the reopening. And we had at this stage the necessity to find a concept that would frame what we wanted to achieve in this reopening. And we went back to our brand and to our meaning. And since we are the museum promoting the cultural connection through a unique journey of humanity, and since now we needed to ask visitors to join us in a safe environment or to participate to this safe environment, we decided to create a sort of new collective consciousness to play our reopening on the meaning of the mindful museum. We had, in the planning phase, which 100 days is a lot of time to plan and to prepare, we were very pleased to exchange with colleagues from all over the world. Our Asian colleagues were kind enough to share their experience. They were a little bit ahead of the curve, and we had discussion all over with all the museums of the world to exchange best practices or best risk analysis. So in our case, and this diagram is quite telling, in green, it is what we managed to keep in open in the experience of the visitor, and in red is the things that we cannot we couldn't keep for the visitors. So if I take a few examples, the multimedia guide, we were giving a media guide that you could take, but this is a point of contact, a touch experience in the experience of the visitor, and we couldn't keep that at all. So we had to suppress the distribution completely, the distribution of multimedia guide, and switch to full download of the application, which took over. Same thing for the ticketing. Ticketing could not be the regular ticket that we were exchanged, so we moved the ticketing on all the ticketing booths. We closed them, and we pushed a lot the ticketing through the device and through the phones and through the capacity to work like that. We also used sort of high-tech technology. I wouldn't say AI, but this kind of modeling in order to adjust the capacity and to make sure that for every space, we would have sort of crash tested virtually the number of visitors that we could get. So we would be able to identify the bottlenecks or the places where we needed to regulate more the traffic and to make sure that the social distancing would be appropriately made. Again, a big thank you to all our colleagues who helped us to build this model, and through this many interaction, there was a real sense of solidarity, and I would say we were rejoicing each time we knew that we were getting closer and closer to the opening. This is a viral campaign that we had to prepare our audience to our own reopening. It was downloaded and shared so many times. We played on a WhatsApp interaction between the artworks of the Louvre Abu Dhabi and of course the Louvre in Paris, Musée d'Orsay, and you see that the artworks which were so sad in the previous period are now excited back to the reopening phase. And actually the reopening itself, we in the Mindful Museum campaign, at the moment, we completely endorse this choice, which I don't regret and I'm very proud of, but which was visibly, and we know museum people, we are people of course of the visual arts, and the way we communicate is always a meaning, as always a meaning. We assumed completely in our campaign and in the visibility of this yellow that you see everywhere, the fact that we underline the new rules of health and safety. We wanted to remind the visitor that it was important to be mindful, but also to reassure them and to give warmth in this process. So everywhere in the museum, you had a reminder that this place was a special space, a public space, reopened, but that has to follow some rules that were visible. And we, for instance, had a series of strategies to make sure that we would have the best experience for the visitor, for them. We wanted them to come back and to enjoy. But at the same time, tactically, as I showed you in the planning phase, we really have optimized all the risk topic. The daily ticket with the time slot, the scan at the entrance that you can see just here, the capacity contactless, the scanning of the ticket, no physical interaction. Of course, the mask, which had became everywhere in the world, but very early in the UAE, mandatory and very well accessible. We also had things which were less visible but important when we got the Go Safe certificate issued by the DCT. The fact that our staff was tested, everybody was tested very regularly, every month, every week. And now we are pushing on the next phase, which is a very high level of vaccination. And so this collective effort allowed us to open to the museum after only 100 days of closure. But to welcome the visitors, we also wanted not to lose or not to forget who we were. And that was very important for us to respect the DNA of the Louvre Abu Dhabi. And once again, I will go back to the solidarity and to the exchange between the museums. The Louvre Abu Dhabi is in its permanent galleries a museum which is showing a semi-permanent collection, which means that thanks to the friendship with the French museums and to the growing collection, we are always changing the artwork that you can see on display. We're telling the story of humanity in a chronological, thematic order, but the artworks are changing a lot. And it was a fantastic challenge to make sure that we could still have this rotation active in the despite the COVID challenges, issue on transportation, on couriering, and so on. So I think that we really have invented with, especially with the partners in Paris and the team based in Abu Dhabi, fantastic new methodologies of filming, some hanging, exchanging, using the digital again to make sure that we would work seamlessly between colleagues who knew each other. So we were able in October and November to present fantastic new changes, fantastic new loans. You see a great loan from the Musée d'Orsay on the upper right hand, installing our own last acquisition, because Louvre Abu Dhabi kept acquiring during the crisis to keep on, not to lose what we were. And I think this will be part of the lessons learned, and I'm sure there are some optimization on the processes that can be developed from that. Finally, we're moving to this year and to 2021. If our program of exhibition was, of course, challenged, as you can imagine, we closed with Furosia exhibition and reopened with it. But we were not sure that we would be in capacity to propose to the visitors new exhibitions in as soon as February 2021. And we are very proud, and I would say it's a very strong statement from Abu Dhabi to have facilitated, to have made possible for the Louvre Abu Dhabi a new exhibition which opened on the 17th of February to the public, with the same kind of regulation and social distancing on ticket, but it's an incredible exhibition made with Centre Pompidou. Didier Ottinger is the curator of it, and it's a fantastic show. We had also worked with our brothers of Guggenheim Abu Dhabi to offer this modern art exhibition, talking about a very universal propos, and we are very proud to be able to exhibit that. And the team of Louvre Abu Dhabi and Agence France Museum have been incredible in just organizing logistically and conceptually this new show. Of course, the core of a museum identity is with the artwork, with the narrative, with the education, with the research. And I think this is part of the mindfulness of what we do and what we needed to do. We also have thought of, let's say, on the sustainability, on the let's say the payback to the community, on the resilience, on what a museum as a civic place could give to the visitors. So it's very important for us to reactivate and even to develop new ways for the visitors to discover the museum and to interact. We have this great offering, which is absolutely special in Louvre Abu Dhabi, in which you can do by walking inside the architectural visit, in which you can see all aspects of Jean Nouvel's masterpiece. But you can also do it in kayak and turn around the museum and see it as a sculpture from all angles. We also were looking for, let's say, resilience, offering to our visitors the possibility to find some solace, some rejuvenation. And this is why we have launched very recently a yoga session under the dome. We also think that the civic place, the place of enjoyment, the place where you are a body, even if you are in contact with object of transcendence and beauty, you need to enjoy. And we reopen also our fine dining restaurant Phuket, which from a sustainability point of view is also very important, because the business model of a museum implies to have this kind of offerings also to bring some revenue to the museum itself. We have worked more and more with our communities, and you see that another food and beverage offer, which is on the outside, which is the Aptitude Cafe, and we have created for the communities, for them to be able to meet under our dome as a safe place, what we call late, which is a great offerings for free. You can at night come in the evening, starting at 6, after the closure of the museum, just discover the artworks that are accessible outside under the dome and wander around and reappropriate the Louvre Abu Dhabi. The crisis has been also an opportunity for us to question ourselves on how do we stay relevant in these times, and how can we adapt to the changing needs of our audience. We have proposed this little short movie that I really like. It's a text by Ben O'Cree, and it was also going to be connected with our local audience.
This is a time for renewal.
People who were looking for meaning in this
Art renews what it is to be human. We celebrate art as healing. We celebrate the beauty of differences. To reimagine our journey from birth to the stars. To collaborate with what is extraordinary in you. What does it mean to be human?
It means to love.
To love.
To dream.
To dream.
To make.
To make. To grow. To quest. To find meaning.
Oh, sorry. I may have taken the end of it, but I think for time issues, it will be for the best. So we because this movie is actually the right link between what we needed to do on the content, on the meaning of the institution, but also on what we could propose to the visitor on the digital transformation. I think that
in this case, you can see
by losing 70% of our tourists and our education segment, the Louvre Abu Dhabi balance was challenged, of course, by the virus. So the question was, how do you transform a website of a fresh museum, 3 years old, or less than 3 years at the moment of the crisis, which was a website used for the visitor experience to prepare your visit, to buy your ticket, and maybe to keep some souvenir and some interaction, into a full content driven. And how do you use technology to reach out to our visitors? So this also, we had a task force working on the acceleration of the digital transformation. We have made our app, as I said, more accessible and easy to use. We have also developed access to the collection, to the masterpieces of the collection, to the educational tools that we had in order to facilitate also what was school from home for a lot of families, and we try to do it in a fun way also to help. We had this incredible exhibition on Forosia, which we had to close months after its opening, which was a frustration. So while we kept it open to be able to reopen with it, we used 360 visits in order to give access. The book was free to download during this period, and similarly, we gave access to a lot of our content less on a monetization point of view, because for us as a young institution, what was important was not to lose the momentum, to keep our existence and to reach to our visitors. So for us, it was also important to show that Louvre Abu Dhabi was a museum who could experiment, who could try, who could think out of the box, who could think there is no box. And we had 3 projects I will very shortly present, which are collaboration with Anrami. So they are the Middle East creative, the platform for music. They did with music what we do with artwork, which is curate. So they made playlists inspired by our themes. That's for the pillar concerning our visitors. We made an incredible short movie, 20 minutes, a science fiction movie inspired with full with big stars, as you can see on the left, inspired by the architecture of the Louvre Abu Dhabi, by the dome. And we had a special guest, Jean Nouvel, for giving his voice in it. And that would be on the pillar of the collection. We have worked, Pulse of Time is a 40-minute short, very epic stories of humanity, but using our artworks. you can go through the galleries and discover everything that we have to offer. So these three ways of sharing our content, exploring, reinventing, where, let's say, on the education, on the seduction, on the fun, on interaction, on the exploring. We also needed to be strong in the research and to be capable of organizing with NYUAD in November a full digital summit, which is actually quite apparent to the cultural summit, but specifically on the museum world, which I'm very proud of with our friends of NYUAD. And that was our the way that we react. I would like just to reflect very quickly for the maybe as a lessons learned or key takeouts. I think that what we have learned from this crisis is very important. First, life is more fragile than when we think. The COVID has been sort of a global reality check, and let's say the sustainability of everybody and sustainability of every institution. And this reality check has opened our mind at Louvre Abu Dhabi. We think, consequently, that agility is no longer optional. We need to be able to move, we need to be able to transform, we need to be able to adapt our content and our strategies. Third big point, we must listen. This mindful mindset that we developed was very important for us. We really think that sustainability is only possible if we understand what our visitors and what the wider audience wants in a fast-changing world. So we need to be ahead of the curve and to listen to what they want to say. And that will be the fourth point, we now must live with it. Bad news, COVID is not going away. It's fading, we're fighting it, but it is there for a while. And if we were very proud to have this very important, visible campaign at the beginning, we need now to fade it away and to make it part of our daily experience. We need to reinvent. We need to be strong. We need to be clever in the balance between the physical and the virtual. The experience of the visitor has shifted dramatically, and we need to be able to change our tactics about it. Finally, and that may be my closing remark, and very important, a museum, of course, is, as a starting point, is made of artworks. But a museum is not just about artworks. It is about its people. And this brings me to the final campaign that we have launched at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, in which we had a series of portraits of our staff, our beautiful staff who are absolutely glad who went through this horrible period with a smile and with strength. And the staff themselves were the best ambassador of what the museum stands for. And so we had this campaign in which each of the staff selected, I think it's a dozen, and we have a second round, were able to share what they liked in Louvre Abu Dhabi, what it meant for them. And I think it was a way of recognizing that the commitment of the team had been one of the key success of the Louvre Abu Dhabi: resilience, adaptability, and I would say a readiness for the future. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be with you, and I hope that you will visit us.